it's great to be here, and thanks for having us. It's, in building cloud applications, the developer community is just confronted with a myriad of complexities in building cloud-native applications. And not only that, they've got a very separate set of deployment models that they've had to contend with. We're trying to unify the approaches of containers, application runtimes, and could you scroll that a little bit, please? Thanks a lot. And so, as a developer, you really have three approaches that you can go for. I'd like to give you a bit of a view of how the industry's transitioned a bit to allow for the unification of those three approaches. So, as a developer, you're really looking at how you can take either functions, containers, or application runtimes. So there are three ways of doing those generally open to developers. You can go for containers on Kubernetes. You can go for a very opinionated platform like CloudFoundry if you need to move with velocity. Or you can be looking at individual cloud functions like serverless. And these are continually evolving, but we're looking at how, if you look at the tooling behind a lot of these approaches, they're very complex. You're going to have your minds blown, I think, over the next couple of days as to what the options are, to how you can start to support and manage and deploy the containers, the functions, and the application runtimes. The industry's converging on various technologies to support each of these deployment options. For example, Knative is becoming a leading enabler for cloud functions, and CloudFoundry is now based on Kubernetes. So we've had a lot of changes there, and as a founding member of the CNCF, IBM is certainly at the forefront of a lot of these innovations and a lot of investments being made there. But to sort of take it help illustrate the issues that we're talking about here, I guess I'd like to try and make, before the analogy police get here, I'll liken it to something that some of us can identify with, and that is, well, alcohol, right? So many of us have our poison, and we might pick the type of beverage that we want to consume in a manner that we want, depending on the circumstances. So, like cocktails. Cocktails are like an application that need to be designed, and the ingredients need to be mixed, and to enjoy the total experience for the way you want it. A function is like a shot. A shot's very specific. It might be very good at what it does, but it's very specific. And an application runtime is more like a mixer, where it's very, level in what it produces and very consistent in that outcome. But then there's also the environments that you might consume them in. You may like your 40-year-old scotch or your heritage red wine, and you might like to consume that by yourself. I'm not revealing anything here, but you might like to sit at home and enjoy that experience, and in the security and the privacy of your own home. That could be like the private cloud, right? But you may also like to go out. You might like to go out and mix, and you might like to have that experience of mingling, but also obtaining your alcohol from a bar. Is that like the public cloud? Who do you trust? Or you may like the experience of going to a BYO restaurant, taking your drink, knowing what you've got, but then combining it with the experience of the restaurant and what they have to offer. And that's a bit more like a hybrid model. So what we're taking here is that experience of containers and functions and applications, and looking at how they run across these varying models of cloud, private, hybrid, and public. And the glue in all this is Kubernetes. That's why we're here. And I can't think of another open source technology that's had such impact in such a little amount of time, that's overtaken pretty much everything around it and become so prominent. And next to that, we've also seen some advances in functionality like service mesh and service catalogs that Istio has provided, and other technologies around that like Envoy. But what about apps and functions? Apps and functions, if I look at applications, yes, you've got CloudFoundry, and what we're starting to see now is CloudFoundry itself is running in Kubernetes. If I look at the functions, there are so many technologies out there for cloud functions. Things like OpenWhisk. Pretty much every cloud provider has its view and version of cloud functions, but it's pretty fragmented in how they go about that. And there's a lot of open source technologies in how they can deliver cloud functions as well. So the glue in this is Knative. Knative provides the building blocks that allows cloud functions to run in Kubernetes. And with that, what we'll have is a unifying layer that allows the different models and approaches of development to be combined and integrated into a common platform that can be used for the next generation of applications. So the model that we're looking to is to standardize on Kubernetes for orchestration, to utilize a service mesh technology like Istio for managing the microservices. You can build an opinionated platform like CloudFoundry based on Kubernetes. And then finally, leverage Knative for serverless technology. And by doing that, that will provide a unification of those different approaches. So as a developer, if you have that choice, or you're confronted with that need to choose or to combine the various development and deployment approaches, you have a consistent model for the tooling behind it. So I'd encourage you to visit the IBM booth here to talk to our team about those technologies. And I hope you have a really good conference. So thanks for the opportunity.